Hello. So in this video, I am going to show you how to launch and connect to a VM on Google Cloud platform. So in Google Cloud, again, if you're not familiar, all resources must belong to a project. Currently, I am connected to this project called Really Basic Project. From here, I can open the navigation menu on the left. The VM service on Google Cloud is called the Compute Engine. So I can go to the Compute Engine service, and I'm going to go to VM instances. Now, by default, if you go to a service that you have not yet accessed on Google Cloud, you may need to enable the services API. So if I click enable this API, it may take a few seconds, but what's happening is your project is actually being configured to access Compute Engine. APIs on Google Cloud are enabled on a per project basis, not on a per account or per organization basis. So every time you create a new project, you may need to enable several APIs. So now the Compute Engine API has been enabled, and you can see it takes me to this VM instances portal. I can then create a virtual machine instance. Now there are many options to select here. I'm not going to talk about all of these options, just the really basic ones. We have the name. I can name this particular instance whatever I want. I will call it basic instance. Region, I can specify the region I want to put this instance in. In this case, I'll put it in Southeast, and zone is 1B. So zones are just disaster zones, or think of them as the data center or the location within the region that your VM is deployed into. So we have the VM type here. The general purpose one is okay for this demonstration. And from here, I am just going to create the VM. There's an option here to change the image, or let's say the operating system you're using, but I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to create this VM outright and then connect to it. So now the VM is being created. Let's give it a few seconds to finish creating. And now the VM has finished creating. By default, it is given an internal IP and an external IP. You can see there is a button here called SSH. To connect to this VM, all I have to do is click this SSH button. It should automatically open up a browser for me. And what this will do is it will allow me to connect to this virtual machine via the SSH protocol. But this is being done over a browser. So you don't need to install anything on your machine. As long as you have access to a browser, you should be able to get access to this VM. So now I am connected to this VM, and if I wanted to, I can run whatever types of commands I want to run on this VM. So this is how you would launch a VM on Google Cloud and how you would connect to a VM in Google Cloud.